Coverdale Bible, the first book of Moses, called Genesis. What this book containeth. Chapter 41. Joseph declareth Pharaoh's dream, and is made a lord of Egypt. The dearth beginneth. The 41st chapter. And after 2 years Pharaoh had a dream, how that he stood by a waterside, and behold, out of the water there came 7 goodly kine, and fat-fleshed, and went feeding in the meadow. After these he saw other 7 kine come out of the water, which were evil-favoured and lean-fleshed, and went by the kine upon the waterside. And the evil-favoured lean kine ate up the 7 goodly and fat kine. Then Pharaoh awaked, and he slept again, and dreamed the second time. And he saw that 7 ears of corn grew upon one stalk, full and good. Afterward he saw 7 thin and blasted ears come up, and the 7 thin ears devoured the 7 great and full ears. Then Pharaoh awaked, and saw that it was a dream. And when it was day, his spirit was troubled, and he sent out, and caused to call all the soothsayers in Egypt, and all the wise men, and told them his dream. But there was none that could tell Pharaoh the interpretation of it. Then spake the chief butler unto Pharaoh, and said, This day do I remember my fault, when Pharaoh was angry with his servants, and put me in prison with the chief baker in the chief marshal's house. We dreamed both in one night, every man his dream, having his own interpretation. Then was there with us a young man, an Hebrew, the chief marshal's servant, unto whom we told it, and he declared our dreams unto us, unto every man according to his dream. And as he declared it unto us, so came it to pass. For I was restored unto mine office, and he was hanged. Then Pharaoh sent and called for Joseph, and they let him out of the dungeon. And he let himself be shaven, and changed his clothes, and came in unto Pharaoh. Then said Pharaoh unto him, I have dreamed a dream, and there is no man that can interpret it. But I have heard tell of thee, that when thou hearest a dream, thou declarest it. Joseph answered Pharaoh, and said, God shall give Pharaoh a prosperous answer, yea, well without me. Pharaoh said unto Joseph, I dreamed that I stood by a waterside, and behold, out of the water there came 7 kine, fat-fleshed and goodly, and went feeding in the meadow. And after them I saw other 7 kine come out, thin, evil-favoured, and lean-fleshed. So evil-favoured saw I never in all the land of Egypt. And the 7 lean and evil-favoured kine ate up the 7 first fat kine. And when they had eaten them up, a man could not perceive that they had eaten them, and were as evil-favoured as they were afore. Then I awaked, and I saw again in my dream 7 ears of corn, growing upon one stalk, full and good. Afterward there sprung up 7 withered ears, thin and blasted, and the 7 thin ears devoured the 7 good ears. And I have showed it unto my soothsayers, but they can tell me nothing thereof. Joseph answered Pharaoh, Both Pharaoh's dreams are one. God showeth Pharaoh what he will do. The 7 good kine are 7 years, and the 7 good ears are 7 years also. It is one dream. The 7 lean and evil-favored kine that came up after them are 7 years, and the 7 thin and blasted ears shall be 7 years of dearth. This is now the thing which I told Pharaoh, that God showeth Pharaoh what he will do. Behold, there shall come 7 years with great plenteousness in the whole land of Egypt, and after the same there shall come 7 years of dearth, so that all this plenteousness shall be forgotten in the land of Egypt, and the dearth shall consume the land, so that the plenteousness shall not be perceived in the land, because of the dearth that cometh thereafter, for it shall be very great. Whereas Pharaoh dreamed the 2nd time, it signifieth that this thing is surely prepared of God, and that God will shortly bring the same to pass. Let Pharaoh now provide for a man of understanding and wisdom, whom he may set over the land of Egypt, and see that he ordain officers in the land, and take the 5th part of the land of Egypt in the 7 plenteous years, and gather all the food that shall come of the plenteous years, that they may lay up corn under Pharaoh's power, for sustenance in the cities, and keep it, that there may be food found prepared for the land in the 7 dear years, which shall come upon the land of Egypt, that the land be not destroyed of hunger. The saying pleased Pharaoh well, and all his servants. And Pharaoh said unto his servants, How might we find such a man, in whom is the Spirit of God? And said unto Joseph, For so much as God hath showed thee all this, there is none of such understanding and wisdom as thou. Thou shalt be over my house, and according unto thy word shall all my people obey. Only in the king's seat will I be more than thou. And he said, Behold, I have set thee over the whole land of Egypt. And he took off his ring from his hand, and gave it Joseph in his hand, and clothed him with white silk, and hung a chain of gold about his neck, and made him ride upon the 2nd chariot, and caused it be proclaimed before him, that men should bow their knees unto him, as to him whom Pharaoh had set over the whole land of Egypt. And Pharaoh said unto Joseph, I am Pharaoh. Without thy will shall no man move his hand or his foot in all the land Egypt. And he called him Zaphnath Paaneah, and gave him a wife, even Asnath, the daughter of Potiphar, the priest of On. So Joseph went out for to visit the land of Egypt. And he was 30 years old when he stood before Pharaoh. And he departed from Pharaoh, and went through all the land of Egypt. And the land did so those 7 plenteous years, and they gathered all the food of the 7 years that were in the land of Egypt, and laid it in the cities. Look what food grew in the field round about every city, they put it therein. So Joseph laid up the corn in store, and that much above measure, as the sand of the sea, insomuch that he left off numbering of it, for it could not be numbered. And unto Joseph there were born 2 sons, before the dearth came, whom Asnot, the daughter of Potiphar, priest of On, bare unto him. And the first called he Manasses, for God, said he, hath caused me to forget all my labor, and all my father's house. The second called he Ephraim, for God, said he, hath caused me to grow in the land of my trouble. Now when the 7 plenteous years were ended in Egypt, then began the 7 dear years to come, whereof Joseph had said, And there was dearth in all lands, but in all the land of Egypt there was food. Now when the land of Egypt began to suffer hunger also, the people cried unto Pharaoh for bread. But Pharaoh said unto all the Egyptians, Go unto Joseph, what he saith unto you, that do. So when there was dearth in all the land, Joseph opened all that was by him, and sold unto the Egyptians. Thus the dearth prevailed in the land, and all countries came to Egypt to buy at Joseph, for the dearth was mighty in all lands.